Transition here. I know you've been making it a point to make more visits to Kansas to meet with constituents. You'd had the infamous meeting in Oakley where there were some folks that weren't quite happy with how you handled that. With your continued visits, well, what have those conversations been like with Kansans? I mean, have those been more positive meetings, or have you received more challenges from people, concerned about what's going on in Washington right now?
Right. So I was thinking about this over the weekend, that I've probably done close to 500 town halls since I started this, since I ran for Congress. And I would say 95% of them have been very, very positive. Certainly President Trump is a very flamboyant figure, and people either love him or hate him. But I'm telling you, 90% of rural America voted for President Trump. As I talk to people, they support him, they support his agenda. Yes, there's 10 or 20% of the state that violently disagrees with him. And they went from obsession to psychosis. You can't deal with them. They're totally separated from the truth. And that's a big, big challenge right now. But I still think that 60–70% of Kansans support President Trump, and they definitely support his agenda. And again, as I've been to these 30 counties, 40-some stops, overall, these folks feel like the country's going in the right direction for the first time really since COVID. And it's more than just economics. I think it's that their families feel safer. They're happy that the border is secure. More secure anyway. Talking to police and sheriff's officers, it feels like maybe we're finally starting to slow down the fentanyl that's coming into the communities, and just overall a sense of people going back to these basic Kansas values that we were raised upon, and getting the government less involved with local decisions. I think of school boards and local school decisions. So I think that most of Kansas, a super majority of Kansas, feel like for the first time in years that America is going back in the right direction.
And I think there's no doubt that the majority of Kansans have been very supportive of President Trump. Some of go back to the farmers, for instance. Some that we've spoke with have said, one in particular that I've spoken with has said, I'm an avid Trump supporter. I have never, I voted for him twice. I support him as a president, but I still have concerns about, let's say, the trade war, for instance, what that is, going to mean for me. I mean, what's the response that you have to those Kansans that are saying, I'm trying my best to continue to support the president, but I still have these concerns?
Yeah, I think that the president values hardworking Americans, that every time I see him, he asks me, how are my farmers and ranchers doing? That's his priority, and I think you're seeing that in his actions. He doesn't care nearly as much about Wall Street as he does about Main Street. So I think that you see the whole package. If you don't look at everything just in little silos, tariffs are one part of the economy, and the other thing, it's great that we're bringing manufacturing jobs back home. It's great that with the opportunities for E15, the opportunities for the 45Z tax credit, and taking commodities and turning those into jet fuel. So President Trump is in this for the long term, and I'm the first to acknowledge the farmers and ranchers. It's a gamble to start with. When you're just contending with Mother Nature, it's enough of a challenge, and that's why we need to get a farm bill across the finish line. That's why we need crop insurance, and that's why we need the Title I funding. But I can tell you that this president, that his priorities are hard-working Americans. It's these flyover states he really dearly cares about. That's who carried him across the election. It wasn't the coastal states. It was these flyover states that carried him. We are his base and support, and he's going to return that loyalty.